the stream, not the scream, the stream. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of your seventh favorite wrestling podcast, Down the Middle. And holy shit, do we have a lot to talk about this week. It's been absolutely insane. But we're going to go start right out of the gate with the obvious, the big news involving Mr. Tony Khan and his purchase of Ring of Honor. And Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like somebody we know said that Tony Khan should totally buy Ring of Honor, if for nothing else because of the video library. I feel like we know somebody who said, oh, wait, it was us.
Yep.
It was totally us.
Yep. Yes.
And then a little bird told me that there are rumors abound that AEW may be partnering with HBO Max for some kind of streaming content. I suspect that is where we will find the Ring of Honor video library before too long, along with possibly some additional AEW content.
Right.
It seems to be imminent. Now, what I'm hoping is that the new Ring of Honor. Now, what I don't know is if, along with the purchase of Ring of Honor and the video library, if they also got the TV slots that Ring of Honor currently has.
From what I read, everything that Ring of Honor is now owned by Tony Khan.
Correct.
Which means he gets all assets of library, talent, championships, everything that the company would have.
I mean their current television schedule, like where they air, which would still be Sinclair Broadcasting.
Right.
See, here are my thoughts, and I disagree with Jim Cornette on them, because Jim Cornette, I heard him talking about how the whole acquisition isn't really worth all that much without the television, and I wholeheartedly disagree. Because I think that if Ring of Honor became a weekly program on HBO Max, it would reach much more people. Many more people.
And I would agree with that.
And it would be good for HBO Max because every hardcore wrestling fan would sign up if they weren't already. Now, I already have HBO Max. It would just make it easier for me to watch Ring of Honor.
Right.
Which I'm all for. I think in this case, Jim Cornette is just a little too attached to the old school way of doing things, because I'll be the first to tell you, Ring of Honor is frustrating because it allegedly airs in my area, but I can never find it.
And what's funny is I think we've talked about this on our previous episode before. I have Sling, and I can find it on there, but it's like New Japan. It's like prior episodes back.
Yeah, well, I heard they were doing reruns for a little while. But for me, because when I had Sling, I could find it occasionally, but it was sketchy.
All right.
It seemed like it was always changing.
Right. Like there's times there'd be on at like 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And then normal night of wrestling, or 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, wait a minute. No.
I like the idea of being able to just go on HBO Max and being like, oh, this week's episode of Ring of Honor is up. Perfect.
And also talking about using it as a developmental system.
See, that, I hope that doesn't happen. I can't see how it can't happen, but I would like to see Ring of Honor be treated as its own thing. Like, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it being acknowledged, but I would like Ring of Honor to
be its own distinct company, like AEW and Impact and WWE and everything. I get
simmer down there, buddy.
I'm sorry. I get what you're saying and everything. I do. But we don't really have very many developmental companies out there.
I'll rephrase what I said, because I don't want it to be an on-air developmental company. Like, right. Obviously, it's going to be a developmental company.
Okay.
But
Well,
I
here's the thing.
don't want it to be treated like a developmental company.
Well, and I get that, but also ROH, OVW was an on-air developmental system.
Right, but that was
NXT, even though it is its own thing, it's still technically a developmental system.
Okay, nope, you have a point. And shit, there was a long period of time where NXT was better than the main roster.
And you're right, and I'm not disagreeing with that, but also all the people that was on NXT was guys who are pretty much well established already. They just
when it got super hot and popular, yeah. Most of them came from Ring of Honor.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So
go ahead.
I was going to say, anywhere you look at it, especially before they got NXT, they got FCW, and that was a developmental too.
Yeah, but that was only on local Florida television.
Okay, so was OVW.
True. Although OVW had a fairly decent reach.
Because of Jim Cornette and everything.
Correct, because he knew what he was doing back in those days.
So either way, I know what you're getting at with it needs to be its own thing. But if they use it to build people and everything, and especially send people down there and bring people from there to here and go back and forth, vice versa, then it'll work.
True.
Because I'm going to look at it as what WWE's doing right now with NXT. Okay, as they're sending some of their main people down to the little roster to build people up down there to get them ready for the main roster. I mean, look at the '90s. Okay, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and I've sent you clips and stuff like this. The Undertaker. What did Taker do? Taker would go down south to Jim Cornette's company just to help get people over, and have all the people that he got really over, Glenn Jacobs. So I'm not saying you didn't get everybody over, but out of
Yeah, well, but no, you're right. I would Ring of Honor not only has a fighting chance now, they have a very high probability of becoming successful again because Tony Khan has shown that he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He can get it. And I think Ring of Honor's problem from day one on day one, and then Sinclair got better about it. But when Sinclair first bought Ring of Honor, I tuned in and watched, and I was like, this looks like shit. Like, they need to put some money into this. Like, it looked terrible. And it did. They put money into the presentation, and it got better, but it was still kind of indie. And I don't mean that disparaging, but I mean, it looked like an indie. And not in a good way.
And I think, well, in that respect, god dang, they're used. Ring of Honor is used to the indie look.
Right. I don't disagree with that. But, well, and again, AEW has struck a really healthy balance, in my opinion, because they put a lot of money where it needed to go, but they didn't waste a ton of money where it wasn't necessary. The best example I can give is the entrance ramp versus the ring. Like, it's not as big as the entrance ramp is not as big as WWE's, but they spent some money on it. It looks good, does what it's supposed to do. It's eye-catching, but the ring is just a ring. Like, it looks good, but it's just got the ring skirt and all that. And WWE's poured a ton of money into those fucking LED boards that, frankly, they don't add anything. And to me, it kind of just, I don't get it. I don't get why you need LED boards on the side of your ring. I don't understand.
Just to make it look flashy.
Well, I know, but I don't see the return on the investment, I guess. I totally get the Titantron. Even though, like, their Titantron today is not as good as it used to be. In my opinion. I missed the big fist on SmackDown.
That's what everybody wants.
Well, and even Raw looked, in my opinion, better prior. And even in the old ECW, like WWE ECW, it didn't look bad. It was more basic, but it didn't look terrible. It got the job done.
That little one that they had?
Yeah, it got the job done. Plus, they were mirroring ECW, so I get it. But NXT didn't. Does anybody think NXT looked bad when it was more basic?
Just a big flat screen and they walked out from the side?
Yep, and then they had lighting and pyro when necessary. But the ring was never crazy.
No.
I don't know. It seems like WWE sinks money everywhere, and I don't see the return on all those investments. But when you're a $1 billion company, I guess you can afford to splurge on some toys.
Speaking of toys and investments.
Yeah, I see you got Scorpio Sky back there who's got a belt on, and he just recently got himself another belt.
Yes.
He got two, actually.
Well,
they're the same belt, but he got two of them.
Well, he gave one away.
Yeah, I know, because they finally... I thought the whole two belts thing... Like, Sammy shouldn't have been carrying around two belts once they were unified. I always thought that was kind of weird.
It's Sammy Guevara. He can do whatever he wants.
This is true. I'm not going to argue. Sammy Guevara can do whatever the fuck he wants, including, stealing Ty Conti.
Hey, you can't be upset.
I'm not upset. I'm jealous.
We will get into this conversation in a little bit with what we're going to talk about.
We'll talk about this later. Yeah, because they brought it front and center. Apparently they got tattoos, and I'm like, okay, that's a bit much, but hey.
Well, that's what I was talking about. I was talking about when we get to the pay-per-view to talk about.
Yep.
The investment I was talking about. If you're ready, sir.
I'm ready.
For the local Squared Circle Expo.
Squared Circle Expo, which you should all go to because it looks like it's going to be awesome. And I'm not even selling because they're not paying us. Trust me, nobody's paying us. But it does legitimately look awesome. Do they have a something to announce in the action figure department that I'm not aware of?
No. I was just saying in general, like, because you brought that up and everything else, and I know they made a little.
Actually, you brought it up. You brought up the figures.
True. I apologize.
I was just saying, I thought you were going into a real witty segue, and it took us nowhere.
Well, I tried.
Yeah, well, you failed, so.
Hey, you're right. I did.
It's okay. I'll save it. So, speaking of exciting things coming up, Ben, Squared Circle Expo is coming up. The first day is Friday, April 15th. Starting at 5 p.m. And then on Saturday, April 16th, brother, at 11:30 p.m. Oh, I'm sorry. I misread that. Starts Friday, April 15th, 2022 at 5 p.m. and runs all the way through till Saturday, April 16th until 11:30 p.m. And it's going to be rocking, brother. In addition to just being completely awesome.
Oh, yeah.
The confirmed guest list, which we touched on this last week, but I believe they added some people. But I'm still... Oh, no. I think they didn't add anybody. We're going to go through it again anyway, but this time I'm going to start from the top so that it's different. We've got Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, New Age Outlaws, Road Dogg and Billy Gunn, Jeff Jarrett, the Steiner Brothers, not Braun Breaker, unfortunately, Ron Simmons, Ted DiBiase, JBL, Rikishi, Lex Luger, Adam Cole-Bebe, along with his girl, Britt Baker, who is still the AEW Women's World Champion, and I just spoiled the pay-per-view for you. I'm not sorry. We've also got Mickie James, Carlito, Matt Cardona, Brody King, Hangman Adam Page, Brian Cage, Swoggle, Santana and Ortiz, Sammy Guevara, the Lucha Brothers, the Headbangers, Primo and Epico, FTR, Ruby Soho, John Morrison, the Good Brothers, Dalton Castle, Ethan Page, Allen 5, Angels, Chelsea Green, Fuego del Sol, your favorite, Danhausen. And was it Abaddon who was advertised but will not be there?
Right.
Correct. Although she's still on the list, so maybe something changed. Brian Meyer, Shane Douglas, Shark Boy, the Varsity Blondes. It doesn't look like it looks like it'll just be Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison though. Larry D, Crazy Steve, and Wolfie D, and it says more guests are to be announced. So next month you should definitely go to Squared Circle Expo. It looks like it's going to be awesome. You can purchase tickets now online at Squared Circle X. That's Squared Circle, the letter X.com, and it will be at the Wyndham Indianapolis West, address being 2544 Executive Drive, Indianapolis, Indiana 46241. Somebody should really start paying us for this shit. It's like, I'm not saying I'm the best, but I'm not saying I'm bad either.
You got the voice.
I really don't think so, but people keep saying it, so I'm not going to argue too hard.
Hey, where I work at my shoe job, they tell me I got the voice.
You do got the voice. You got the velvety smooth, and it goes along with your wrestling persona. You know who you are when you put on the stretchy pants. When you put on the stretchy pants and step in the ring.
Yeah.
It changes you.
Oh, it does. Especially my long hair, my hair flip and everything else. Oh yeah. I got that trademark, baby.
It's very pretty.
Speaking of you bringing up the Steiners and everything and not Braun Breaker. We can talk a little bit about the Hall of Fame.
Yes. Another thing that we called to the letter, because we talked about this. I think it was last time actually, which is why I thought it was hilarious that like the news broke almost immediately after that episode, because a certain member of the McMahon family, who is known for not doing interviews, did an interview.
Yep. With Mr. Pat McAfee.
I will say this about the show, because I watched it. Seems a touch fake to me. Seemed like it was a little bit of a work.
It was a lot better than the one with Adam Cole on it.
Probably, because here's the thing. This is spoiler alert. I'm not a fan of Pat McAfee. I'm not a fan of Pat McAfee's shtick.
You hate Indianapolis Colts. How dare you?
No.
I'm kidding.
Well, I mean, I don't particularly like the Colts because, I mean, I don't like losers, but...
Anyways.
He doesn't play for them anymore. It's fine. But no, he's too much. He's too much for me. I get super duper fake vibes from him. And I know it's wrestling, but it's the same problem I have with Corey Graves, but for different reasons. Like, I believe that, like, when JR's doing commentary, I actually believe that his reactions could be genuine.
Right.
Whereas with Corey Graves, I'm like, okay, he's trying too hard to be a heel commentator, and it shows. And with Pat McAfee, I'm just like, calm the fuck down. Seriously, chill.
They got to have their characters for each show and everything.
I get, but when the King did it, it didn't bother me.
Okay, well, you don't need the King also jumping on his table for a guy named Rick Boogs playing guitar.
Precisely my point. The King would never do that.
You're right.
He had more respect and decency. I'm just waiting for them to trade out that announce table for one of the gimmick tables, so that when he jumps up on it, it just collapses. That'd be pretty damn funny.
All right, Kurt Angle and Triple H.
Exactly. Anyway, so definitely check out Squared Circle Expo. I am going to try my damnedest to be there. I don't know yet because my life is topsy-turvy crazy and has been for quite some time, and I don't foresee it ending soon, but you never know. I'm going to try. So if I do go, I will be wearing the down the middle t-shirt. So if you see some very good looking gentleman wearing a down the middle t-shirt, that's me. Come say hello. All right, what do we got next? Do we want to... Oh, we were talking about the Hall of Fame.
Yes. As we know, Taker is obviously going into the Hall of Fame.
And who's inducting him?
Vince McMahon.
Oh, funny. It's almost like somebody we know said that. I believe the exact words were, it's got to be Vince.
Well, right. I was just thinking it'd be either one of those two people, though. Vince or Vince.
Oh, you're right. You're right. It had to be one of the two. Yeah, but I just it's got to be Vince.
But they've already announced Vader.
Yep.
Is going to the Hall of Fame, which I was confused because when they announced him, I'm like, wait a minute, I thought he was already in it.
I thought he was too.
That's what I said. I thought he was in it, but then I looked it up. I was like, oh, it's Big Boss Man.
Oh.
It's like you can get. It's like, how can you get him confused? But that's like to his stack you can.
Well, I mean, that's like getting Mass Kane and Corporate Kane. Like, they're not the same guy, but they are the same guy. But they're not the same guy. I mean, and then you got the guy that, got Lita pregnant that one time, but he didn't really get Lita pregnant. Or maybe he did. Did he get Lita pregnant?
Yes.
That's what I thought, yeah. And then something happened, mysterious.
It wasn't my fault.
It wasn't a hand, though.
You're right.
So,
she was young. The hand was old.
Anyway. So Taker will be going into the Hall of Fame, and it will be glorious. And WrestleMania looks like it is actually going to be really, really good. I'm shocked. It's stacked. Most notably, the expected return of a certain somebody. And frankly, I can't think of anybody better in the current era. I can't think of anybody better than Kevin Owens for him to have a match against.
Well, they're not saying if it's a match or not.
They're hinting at it, and if it's not, people will get pissed, and not in a good way. Because it's like it's Stone Cold Steve Austin, by the way. Give me a hell yeah!
I think it's going to be a Taker match.
You didn't give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah!
Thank you.
Sorry.
No, man, I don't think so. I think it's going to be Stone Cold because there's been rumors for years that, and then we've had a lot of people who've been able to come back after similar injuries, maybe not full time, but they've been able to come back and do something.
Right, I know.
And I just, could you imagine how much that place will explode?
Hey, he's going to be night one.
Yeah. Oh, get in there and get out.
Because The Rock's going to be on night two.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, night two after the main event.
It's really hard to be a wrestling fan and have a social life these days. Because that's 2 nights where I'm going to be at home. Just watching partially naked men rub up against each other. And the occasional female. But
yeah, but before we go back to the Hall of Fame and everything else, because there's just 2 other ones. It makes me laugh when everybody makes fun of people watching wrestling and talking about like what you just said, like guys rubbing up against guys and everything. I'm like, do you not watch football?
Well, they're clothed. It's different.
They're still grabbing them and pulling them down.
I know. I'm being facetious. Oh, and then watch MMA. They get real close.
Yeah, and everybody loves MMA.
Well, because MMA is awesome. It's legit. It's like it's the ultimate sport.
It's all fake. We all know this. It's all worked.
You and I disagree. I agree with you on the one fight, and you know which one I'm talking about. I still think that was a work. And look where she ended up.
I'm just saying. But getting back to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Psycho Sid got announced.
Yes.
And they've got a tag team wanting to announce. They're just holding out on a certain member of the team.
Who could it be?
It'd be, the Steiner brothers.
Oh, yes. Well, we know who's going to induct them. Or at least be part of it.
Well, right, but Scott's holding out on it.
I don't blame him.
So,
speaking, before we segue into something non-WWE related, I have not watched it. What happened to Big E?
Okay.
That's not what happened to Big E.
No, it didn't. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen.
He's got the Rona.
I do not. Well, he took a belly to belly yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Not yesterday. Well, on SmackDown, and when he took the belly to belly, he landed on top of his head.
Who was the match with?
Ridge Holland.
Who?
Exactly.
Legitimately, who?
Ridge Holland. He's the guy that's with Sheamus.
Oh, that okay.
And Butch.
They literally got some dude named Butch.
Yeah, Pete Dunne.
Oh Jesus, I forgot. Why? Fucking why?
Oh, look at Walter. Oh, I'm sorry, Gunther.
We already talked about that one. But for fuck's sake, what's wrong with Pete Dunne?
He's not Pete Dunne. He's a Butch.
Well, he'll be coming to AEW soon.
And he dresses like the gimmick with them and everything. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, he'll be coming to AEW soon.
They're supposed to be setting up a match at Mania for them three against the New Day.
Not anymore.
And they say he's fine.
Bullshit, he's fine. I saw him in a fucking neck brace.
I know. But I'm saying, they're all saying he's fine.
Okay.
he's fine and he's not paralyzed or nothing.
Well, I figured that much, but well, it'll still be better than a Bad Bunny match, even if he comes with a broken neck. So can't complain too hard. It just sucks, man, because I like Pete Dunne. I want Pete Dunne to be successful, and they just killed it.
Well, it's like what I told you about Tommaso Ciampa. He came to the main roster and they changed his music.
Music is one thing, but I know your name's Pete Dunne. You're a really highly skilled technical wrestler from the UK. You're known for that catch can style. And your joint manipulations, it's good shit. But that name has got to change. I know. We're going to call him Butch. Just Butch? Yeah, just Butch. Okay. The fuck? Oh, and by the way, change that German dude's name to Gunther. It sounds funnier. Anyway, back to good wrestling. You want to go over Revolution?
That's fine. We can do that.
Okay, because I watched that sumbitch, and it was awesome, as per usual.
I was just, when we get to the certain matches, I'll tell my shockingness.
Your shockiness?
Yeah.
Your shockiness. Okay. Well, to start, we had Chris Jericho versus Eddie Kingston for Jericho's respect on the line. The only part of this match I didn't love was Eddie's entrance. And it was just because, and I get what he was doing, so I'm not knocking it. It's just not my preference. I would have liked for him to have taken a little more time to get down there because the crowd was super into him, but he just power walked down to the ring, which I get. I get what he was doing. Not knocking it, but I would have liked for him to acknowledge the fact that the crowd was more on his side than Jericho's. Because Eddie can do that with a look, because he's that fucking good.
Right.
He could have just looked around at the audience and looked right at Jericho and just did that smirk that he does, and then continue walking. And plus, his entrance theme is fucking awesome, so I'm down for it. But the match was phenomenal, and Eddie finally, he won the big one.
And now he's just got to go for the world title.
I think this is the start of a legitimate title run for Eddie Kingston. So I have obviously zero complaints. What did you think of it?
Oh, I didn't get to see the pay-per-view.
What? Well, I'm glad one of us isn't lazy.
I'm sorry.
Just kidding. It's all a work, man. It's all a work.
It's all work. No, I don't really get to watch pay-per-views much when it coincides with shoot job.
Yeah, I know. I didn't watch it when it was live. I had to actually watched it last night, but I still watched it, unlike someone I know.
Oh, I apologize.
Well, it's okay. We'll let it go.
I just read the results the night of, and that's why I said a few minutes ago that I get my. There's some matches that I know happened that I'm shocked that happened.
Yeah.
The results of the winners.
Well, because I was thinking about it, and I was like, I could always just read the results, because I'm not going to lie, I didn't particularly want to watch it, because this week was fucking terrible. But I said, you know what? No, because I care about our audience. And I thought that my co-host did too. But I'm glad that, I cared about our audience enough to put in the work and watch wrestling for 4 hours.
I care about our audience too.
It's all work, brother. Anyway, Eddie came out with the win. Jericho refused to shake his hand, and this came to a head on Wednesday Night Dynamite, where Jericho delivered a fantastic promo talking about how he was sorry that he let himself down and he let the fans down, so he asked Eddie Kingston to come out and shake his hand. Eddie comes out, and then Jericho does the old double cross.
Yes, he does. And what does he do?
Creating a new stable.
And what is that stable called, sir?
The Jericho Appreciation Society.
Yes, there you go.
And it is consisting of just Jake Hager joined up with them, but he's now palling around with 2.0 and, oh God, Daniel Garcia.
There you go.
I just had brain fart. I don't know how I feel about this stable. If it can elevate Daniel Garcia, I'm all for it, which kind of happened with Sammy Guevara, so this could work. I don't know, because I want Daniel Garcia to get elevated.
That's what I think is going to happen.
I think so too. I really do.
Because you technically do not have a number one heel stable in AEW right now.
Correct.
It was the Elite, but they're in a little split decision.
Yep.
Because Omega and everything else. So technically, if you need a number one heel faction, it's got to be with Jericho.
Yep. As of right now, because they're trying to with the Men of the Year, but it's not working. Speaking of Daniel Garcia, correct me if I'm wrong, but did he not? He won the PWG Battle of Los Angeles, did he not? The most recent one.
I'd have to look that up.
I believe he did. Correct us in the comments if we're wrong, but I believe he won that. So kudos to him if that is the case, and if not, well, we thought you won it, so.
He's been doing a lot of.
He's been doing a lot
of indie stuff, yes.
Yep. Next match, we had Red Dragon versus the Young Bucks versus the Jurassic Express, Jurassic Express for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. The only thing that I wrote down for this, because it wasn't a bad match, but the only things I wrote down is I like these types of matches, but how in the actual hell was there not a DQ? And this is so little, but it's massive. How you solve that is you just make it no DQ. Okay. Now I get the story they were telling was, Red Dragon and the Bucks going head to head, but you could have done this another way that I think would have been better and would have enabled you to have that no DQ match. So, for those of you who are unaware, they were having these tag team battle royals to determine who was going to be in that three-way match with Jurassic Express. Red Dragon screwed the Bucks over to win the first one, and then the Bucks ended up winning the second one. So the whole story of the match was that the Young Bucks and Red Dragon had an agreement, which this was stupider than shit on the face of it, because why would you have, it just doesn't make sense. I know wrestling logic, but what I would have liked to have seen is Red Dragon screw over the Bucks so that Red Dragon gets the title match, the no DQ title match against Jurassic Express. But then the Bucks play it off as oh, it was an accident. Don't worry, we'll be there to help you out during your match. And then the Bucks screw over Red Dragon. Jurassic Express retains, and then they go into their beef. And then the only other thing I had written down was, I believe it was Matt Jackson was doing something on the ropes with somebody. Rick Knox counted to 5 before he let go of the hold or whatever and didn't disqualify him.
Well, and here's my thing. Because I know the wrestling logic is weird and everything, but there's no DQs in a multi-man match.
Then why is he counting to 5?
That is my thing that confuses me right now, because you told me that. You shouldn't have been counting to 5.
And then why are the Bucks and Red Dragon, for the most part, sticking to their corners? I mean, why is this not a free-for-all?
You still got to...
I know you still have to be legal and all that, but I guess here's my thing, and this is where my non-wrestling logic works against me, because if the Bucks and Red Dragon have an agreement, then why are they not just beating the living shit out of Jurassic Express and then going at each other?
Again, wrestling logic.
I know, but this is the issue that I have with some of these matches. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the match, but these little things just annoyed me and took me out of it a little bit.
They're trying to sell the story. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Trying to get to the Elite against Undisputed Era.
I know that, but again, I think that there are ways you can do this that are better, and then you don't have to kind of throw stuff that makes sense out the window to make it work.
I know,
but anyway, it was good, and the finish was good. I loved the finish. But Jurassic Express retained, and I will say it made Jurassic... Not that I'm saying they were a bad tag team, but it made them look legit. It made them look more legit after this match. Because they had to fight, so it made them look fantastic. You have any thoughts on the aftermath of this one?
I just know that they're all going to keep going. These 3 teams are. Or the Raiders going. Might be a 4th team to do a little shocking getting the belts off of Jurassic Express, but not on the other 2 teams as well.
That could be interesting. I just want to know, when are Orange Cassidy and Danhausen going to become a tag team?
When he finally gets better.
I figured. And speaking of Orange Cassidy and Danhausen, next we had the Face of the Revolution ladder match. Which, okay, correct me if I'm wrong here. No, I'm thinking of a different ladder match. Never mind. I was going to say, because everybody started in this match. It wasn't a... Yeah, so I'm getting it mixed up with something else. Overall, I thought it was tremendous. I will say, like, and I'm... You know what I mean? I'm not trying to shit on anybody, but I don't get Keith Lee. I don't get the... Like, I don't dislike it, but I just don't get it.
It's because... How can I say this? You can't say this, anything without being racist.
Sure
No. Well, you're right. He's the black version of Goldberg.
I disagree 100%. I think Powerhouse Hobbs is the black version of Goldberg.
Well, I was just saying because, like, up until this point, I've seen Keith Lee pick up some pretty big people and throw them around like it's nothing, and that's what Goldberg used to do. And
I don't know. I don't get. I just don't get it. But that being said, I liked what he was doing in this match. So, but the only things I disliked were there were a couple of Orange Cassidy was a mixed bag for me because there were some spots that were really cool, and then some spots that were dumber than shit. Like, why in the actual fuck? Like, I get it's his gimmick and all that, but we got to a point where it was just flat out stupid. When he's alone in the ring, still has his hands in his pockets, and then decides to climb the ladder as slow as humanly possible with his fucking hands in his pockets. And then acts surprised when somebody does something about it. Like, what? Come on. Like, I get your gimmick, and when it's done well, it has its place, but they're getting more common, which is concerning. There are lots of moments with Orange Cassidy where it's like, okay, no logical human being would behave this way unless he didn't give a shit. And if he didn't give a shit, then why the fuck is he in there? From a storyline perspective, because I know Orange Cassidy cares.
Right.
Like, it just doesn't make sense from a character perspective. And then Danhausen was there for some reason.
With the Ricky Starks?
Yeah. Which, holy shit, I think Ricky Starks took a powerbomb bump that onto a ladder that looked... I know he didn't suffer permanent injuries, but fuck, that looked like it hurt.
My thing about... Okay. I mark out for Danhausen, but it's like ever since they brought him in, I don't know. I mean,
I think they brought him in too early because he's not ready to wrestle yet.
Right, but he's not ready to wrestle. But yet they brought him in as the manager part manager for Best Friends and everything else, because who needs more people in a group?
Well, apparently Best Friends doesn't have a quota. And that not gonna lie, that whole thing is getting stale too.
What?
The whole Best Friends, like everything they do now is just kind of like, in the words of Jim Cornette, oh, here comes Pockets in the Pudding Gang.
No, since the match is over, everybody gets a big hug.
Which I don't mind the hug thing, but I mean, it's just like they're not doing anything. Like, that their matches for the most part are throwaways, and it's not. I'm not knocking what they're doing in the ring. It's just there's no point. It's kind of like the AHFO, which we'll get into here in a second. Those staples are they're just they seem to just be time filler right now. But you don't need time filler because you have a ton of people on the roster that are phenomenal.
Well, I think Best Friends are like what Jurassic Express was.
That's a very good way to put it, actually.
Because Jurassic Express was like the comedy group, especially Marco Stunt, which
I was gonna say they got rid of Marco Stunt, and look, now they're tag team champions. Figure it out.
because they got Christian Cage.
I mean, he's kind of with them, but not. At least lately, he hasn't been around them too much. But yeah, they definitely trade. I would trade Marco Stunt for Christian Cage in a heartbeat. But Marco Stunt is apparently going for the Voice or something.
Oh, is he?
I guess he keeps mentioning it on Twitter. I don't know. But,
okay.
So he's gonna be a thinger. Maybe, I don't know. Best of luck to him. We did kind of see this coming though when AEW started getting, bigger stars. And I'm not knocking anybody, but like if you don't think that CM Punk and Bryan Danielson and Jay Lethal and Christian Cage and all these Adam Cole are all bigger stars, then you wrong. Which I'm very disappointed how they've been using Jay Lethal, but mainly because they haven't been using him very much.
Well, I just watched his match on Dark Elevation, and
which begs the question: why the fuck is Jay Lethal on Dark Elevation?
He's wrestling Serpentico.
Yeah, why is Jay Lethal wrestling Serpentico on Dark Elevation?
I don't know.
Why?
I don't know.
So anyway, Wardlow won the ladder match, and it was very well done. It was phenomenal. For the most part, the match made sense. There were a couple of moments that were kind of like, oh, he's obviously waiting. But it was very minor. It was still a very good match. Yep. But next we had, and I'm saying this as a fan, we had an unexpectedly great match with the reigning TBS champion Jade Cargill versus Ty Conti for the belt.
Melina. No.
Oh, Jade. Which made sense because it's Jade. Get it? Jade. And Smart Mark Sterling was wearing his money suit.
I love Mark.
I love Mark. Mark took a bump, but he's okay. The money suit protected him. But for what he's talking about is, for those who didn't see it, you should go back and watch it just for this. Jade Cargill had a Jade-inspired ring gear and a special entrance, which was the live guitarist. Now, I am saying this as a fan of Jade Cargill, which if you watch the show, you know.
He's not just a fan. He's in love.
I'm not in love.
He's in love.
It's funny because I was actually thinking, I was trying to describe how I feel about Jade Cargill. Like, I was thinking about it because, and this is the best way I can describe it. The first time I saw her on, like, they were teasing her arrival in AEW, I thought, money. Because, I mean, look at her. She's a world-class athlete, and it's obvious. And I even asked myself, I'm like, do I have a little crush on Jade? No, I really don't. It's just that I see her, and I'm like, I'm telling you what, if I had a wrestling promotion, fuck, I would want her on my roster.
Did you just try to do a Dusty Rhodes?
No, I got athlete and class mixed up, so I said class. World class athlete, baby. But I will say, and not being a worker myself, but I'm sure you could attest to this if you watch the match. In ring, Jade was a lot better, so she's getting better every time. Because I used to, and I love how, because I used to say, like, she's good, but she's obviously green, and she's turned that on its head. And she's like, yeah, I'm green, like money. But her pump kicks are one of the best in the business because they look, and obviously she's not hurting people, but they look fucking phenomenal. Ty Conti's are good too, but Jade might have the best pump kick in the business today. Just throwing that out there. But I thought it was a fantastic match. It looked super stiff, even though I'm sure it wasn't, but it looked really stiff. The kissing thing was weird, but like it just came out of nowhere. But
it just tried to distract her,
I guess. But it did kind of come out of left field. But hey, The match was great, and I enjoyed it. And for a second there, I thought Ty was going to get it. Actually, a couple times.
Well, that'll go into our next match, to the match that I was thinking of.
Which was?
Well, we're not done yet.
Oh, okay. So, but anyway, Jade Cargill retained the TBS championship and remains undefeated in AEW. So I'm loving how they're booking her. I think it's really smart. I think it's one of the few examples of them from start to finish booking it perfectly and not screwing it up. Because they're obviously protecting her, and it makes sense too, because she's money. As smart Mark Sterling will tell you.
Yep.
Even her promos are getting better. Not to say they were bad, but I mean, she's still getting better. Getting over. Anyway, the next match was the one that a lot of people were waiting for. We had CM Punk versus MJF in a dog collar match to settle the score. Is that the match you had thoughts on?
No.
So I got to give massive props to CM Punk for this, because this guy can tell a story nobody else.
Oh, yes.
I mean, and so subtle. And I'm just going to share my thought process as I saw this happen, because as I've mentioned, I didn't really get into wrestling until about 2006, but I'm aware of CM Punk's past. And like I've seen bits and pieces here and there. So I recognized the entrance. CM Punk came out to his old, like, early days of Ring of Honor entrance to AFI, and I can't remember the name of the song, but it was his AFI entrance theme.
Right.
And not only this, he was also wearing ring gear that was inspired by his old look. I know it wasn't actual old ring gear because his jacket still had a reference to Larry on it. But he was wearing the black and white fight shorts with just the X's, and it was very vintage CM Punk feel. And even the way he came to the ring, he did the old way he used to do the straight edge cross, arm cross. And without saying a word, he was basically saying, I've tapped into who I used to be, and I am here to hurt this motherfucker.
Yep.
And he did hurt that motherfucker. They brought up fucking thumbtacks again. Which we've been over this too. I hate thumbtacks. Ugh. And if you watch the match, there's a moment where it's not Bryce Remsburg. Shit, who was the referee?
Was it Rick Knox?
No, it wasn't Rick Knox. It wasn't Bryce Remsburg.
Was it Aubrey?
No, it was a guy. I feel bad because I know his name. I'm just blanking on it.
Posey?
Who?
Mike Posey?
Hang on. I'm going to look it up because I want to acknowledge. Let's see here. No, it wasn't Mike Posey. We're going to go through and I'm going to name them all until we get to him. I'm just looking up the AEW referees because I'll remember the name when I see it. I think it was Paul Turner.
The guy with the short black hair.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, it was Paul Turner.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, there's a moment where Paul Turner's going down for a count, but he hits thumbtacks with his hand. And then to his credit, after he hits the 2 count, you see him go. Because, I mean, he just came right down on him. It was like, and then he got down onto thumbtacks too. Poor guy. But, I mean, shit, this match was awesome. It had a real old school feel to it in a good way. Nothing was too fast or too slow. The pacing was perfect. Everything registered, and it was hard hitting. It was phenomenal. and we even got the Wardlow double cross.
Yep.
I mean, it was zero complaints. 5-star match. Even the booking up to this was fucking phenomenal. That promo, I think it was 2 weeks ago that MJF did that promo. Holy shit.
Yep.
I mean, these guys are on another level. Like, and I'm pretty sure the conversations backstage are like, oh, and then now we're getting to what Max and Punk are doing. Let them handle it. Just go out there. Just go out there and do your shit. Take as much time as you need. Because holy shit, what they're doing. Could you imagine them doing a world title feud? Oh. Zero complaints. If you haven't watched the match yet, I mean, you should watch the entire pay-per-view. Like, go and pay for it. Buy it. It's fucking phenomenal. But anyway, the next match we have Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Sorry, it's mirrored. Anyway, Dr. Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa. I messed up my rolled R's there. For the AEW Women's World Championship. And it's a new belt, by the way.
Yep.
Which I don't like as much as the old one, but...
Oh, it was made by the same guy who made the IWGP World Title.
Oh, that explains it.
Hey.
I'm kidding. I know the story behind it. He warned them. It's not an ugly belt. I just like the old one, but I'll get used to it.
Here's my complaint. I thought she would have lost it by now.
Yeah, and especially to Thunder Rosa. Which I'm not disappointed. Like, this is one of those matches where it doesn't matter who wins. Like, the audience will be into it, but...
But Thunder Rosa's already in a tournament.
Well, and they're having a steel cage match at St. Patrick's Slam. So I think that's where Britt's going to lose it. Because it's the anniversary of their Lights Out match.
Okay, but who's Britt facing?
Thunder Rosa.
Oh, is she for the title?
Yep. And a steel cage, brother.
Well, then that's probably when she will lose it then.
That's what I'm thinking. Because here's the thing, like, Britt was able to retain, so this could end up being really good storytelling. We'll see. Because Britt Baker basically won because of interference from Rebel and Jamie Hayter.
And in this instance, nobody could climb the cage and interfere and yada yada.
100%. And plus, we're going to see Mercedes Martinez, like... So here's what's probably going to happen. They're going to be a steel cage match. Rebel and Jamie Hayter are still going to try to interfere, but they're going to be intercepted by Mercedes Martinez because Thunder Rosa came to Mercedes Martinez's aid on Rampage. It's kind of obvious and on the nose, but it'll still probably happen.
Right.
But I think we will see Thunder Rosa. You heard it here first, folks. We predict, or at least I predict, that Thunder Rosa will win the AEW Women's World Championship at St. Patrick's Day Slam against Dr. Britt Baker.
Oh, from what I seen last night, she retained her other title.
Thunder Rosa?
Yeah. Or Warrior Wrestling.
Oh, yes. That's another... You know what? We need to go to one of those.
They were just here.
I know. That's why we need to go to one of those.
Well...
Because that promotion looks really good, too. Who's behind that? Do you know?
No, I do not know.
Because they have a lot of AEW names.
Right.
So they got to be affiliated somehow, or somebody has to be affiliated in some way, shape, or form. But it looks like they have pretty kick-ass shows. But anyway, like I said, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, retains. And for the moment, is still the AEW World's Heavyweight Champion.
Right.
But you know what happened next?
Was it the 6-man tag?
No.
Oh.
No, not next. Next was Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson. Which... Oh, go ahead.
I was As I say, which would have been, it, I've seen clips of them fight before from back in the day, before they both went to the main roster and everything, the FCW days and everything. So I know that these two are going to just straight up drag out, beat the crap out of each other.
And it looked pretty fucking stiff.
And match is over. And was Moxley went over, right?
Mox pulled out. The finish was phenomenal. Mox pulled it out.
Right. And then you get one of the best things of all time that happens at the end of the match.
And you know what? It's almost like we know somebody who said that William Regal was going to come. Oh, wait, it was us again.
But he's going to be a manager now.
Well, and he's also, I'm sure he's going to be involved in recruiting and mentoring and training behind the scenes. Because, I mean, how could you not hire William Regal and be like, hey, please don't share your decades-long vast knowledge of the wrestling industry and what it takes to get over and your fantastic experience with in-ring work. And just don't share any of that. Just go out and be a manager on air. Like, what the fuck ever. So right. AEW is going to be getting a lot better soon. And not that it was bad, but it's going to...
Next level.
I mean, WWE's in fucking trouble. They are. Because they already can't compete with the in-ring product. They're basically relying on the fact that they have... I'm not saying this is how long they've been in business. I'm saying this is how long they've been huge. They're basically relying on the fact that they have basically 40 years of nostalgic history to tap into. And that's the name value. But you can't seriously tell me that the in-ring product is better from WWE right now. Not that it couldn't be, because they definitely have the talent. They're just not letting them.
I know.
I mean, and creatively, it's no comparison. The one exception might be WrestleMania, mostly because it looks like Stone Cold's going to be there.
And The Rock.
I don't give a shit about The Rock anymore.
That's
just me.
No, I'm just saying, like, they haven't even announced The Rock's going to be there. But we all know that because of what's going to happen on night 2, especially with the WWE and Universal title match, is...
Yeah, it's like we know somebody who called that too. Oh, wait.
Right. It was us.
Oh, yeah. Huh. Funny how that happens.
Yep.
So it looks like Mox and Danielson are going to end up being a unit.
Yep.
Which, that's going to be pretty cool. Let's give them a tag team title run with FTR. Let's do it. Give FTR the damn belts, which, by the way, FTR fired Tully Blanchard.
Yes.
So, I think FTR's turning face.
Well,
I don't know. I think they're turning face because they fired Tully Blanchard and left the Pinnacle.
Well, but also, getting to this next match is a real big shocker as well.
The next match? Oh, yes. Speaking of tag team wrestling. Well, not this match, but the aftermath on Dynamite.
Well, yes.
So the next match was up. This is I'm not trying to hate, but this is the only match on the card that really shouldn't have been on a pay-per-view. Not to say it was bad, but from a booking perspective, this was kind of a waste of time.
Look who's in it.
Yeah, I know. We had the AHFO, which I believe in the actual match consisted of Andrade, Matt Hardy, and Isaiah Cassidy.
Yep.
Versus Darby Allin, Sting, and Sammy Guevara. Which I'm assuming this was just to get all those people onto a pay-per-view.
Yeah, it was.
Now, I will give credit. I will give massive kudos to Sting for that table spot, which was sick. That looked like it hurt. And it did make me think, Sammy and Darby would make a hell of a tag team. And they should call themselves the Pillars.
Why not?
It's going to happen. You watch. They're kind of hinting at it, too, I think. So I think that's something we will see. Because Sammy doesn't have the TNT Championship anymore.
No.
And
don't know.
It would be pretty cool to see 3 of the 4 pillars of AEW going at it for titles. In this case, it would be the tag team titles.
Speaking of tag teams,
the surprise debut after Matt Hardy was betrayed heartlessly by the AHFO when he was voted out and attacked mercilessly, which, let's be real, before we get into the surprise, let's be real, who wouldn't want Matt Hardy out of that group? After what's happened to everyone involved since he, quote, took over. I mean, do you remember when Private Party was a tag team?
I remember they were when you and I went the first time.
Yeah. Yeah. They're still a tag team. You just wouldn't know it. You also wouldn't know that they were a good tag team. And then Butcher and the Blade, which I guess the Butcher was away for a while. So I guess that kind of makes sense. But speaking of which, that fucker got ripped. Damn, good job, bro. Seriously. He looks phenomenal. The bunny is, well, the bunny's the bunny instead of Allie. But,
right.
I mean, that whole stable, hopefully they'll break apart and actually do something now. But we got the surprise.
Well, Andrade has it now.
Yeah, I know, but hopefully they break up and do something. But anyway, we got the surprise, but not altogether unexpected debut of Jeffrey Nero Hardy.
Who would rather dance than
I know. That is so funny. I thought the same thing before I saw all the memes. I was like, oh, well, I guess he knows Matt can take a beating.
Well.
But, and shockingly enough, he came out to the old Hardy Boys music.
Because they don't own the rights.
I know. That I figured that out real quick. I'm like, oh, WWE must not own that. So, haha, the legal system screws you again.
But they own the rights to, help me out.
That other song for those other guys.
Yeah. No more words.
Like you have no more words, or that's the name of the song?
That's the name of the song. The one that Jeff Hardy comes out to.
Oh,
or used to. Well, his single song.
Yeah, but oh well. Everybody popped for the Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
And that was on Dynamite, so.
And it looks like them two, and Sting and Darby, are going to feud.
In a friendly way, though. I don't think it's going to be particular. But what's really funny is I saw this coming because I have a friend who went and saw Jeff Hardy in Chicago, and I was like, why the fuck is Jeff Hardy in Chicago?
I had friends who went and seen him in Indianapolis.
Yeah, but I guess he was doing a tour.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, I bet he's going to debut sooner rather than later. And sure enough, there he was.
Yep.
Flippity floop. It was magical. Anyway, the Faces won that match.
Which Sting's undefeated in those type of matches. So it's like, not time to break a streak yet.
Yeah, no. And then finally, we have the main event, where we get to see Hangman Adam Page, the reigning, defending, cowboy shitting. That didn't work out the way I wanted it to. AEW Heavyweight Champion of the World versus Adam Cole. Baby. Great match. Although, one funny thing I noticed, I think Adam Cole messed up on his entrance because for those of you watching, the hard cam was on the opposite side as it normally is for AEW programming.
Right.
And he went to where he normally goes. But then I think he was looking out and realized the hard cam wasn't there and then turned around and did the boom thing.
My whole thing is, and I get it. My whole thing is, does this mean that Kenny is about to come back?
Probably. Sooner rather than later, I would expect.
Because now, if that's the case, now who's going to go for the world title?
Well, it's time for... Hey, kids! You know what time it is? It's time for another down the middle prediction. And this one, I'm honestly not sure. Because it would be easy enough for Kenny to come back and go for the world title again, but I don't think anyone wants or needs that. And he's got something to do because he can link up with the Bucks and do the whole Elite versus Undisputed Era thing. So who would go for the world title? Because it looks like Jon Moxley is going to be in a tag team.
Right.
I mean, logically, it would be CM Punk because he just got freed up. But again, I don't know that that's necessary. So who could it be?
I think MJF.
Nah.
Or no, MJF will be feuding Wardlow.
Yeah. I don't know. Perhaps Sammy? No, because it looks like he's going to be doing something with Darby and Sting. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
I really don't know.
It's not much of a prediction. And Punk doesn't need the world title.
No.
So I think honestly, I think Hangman might be going through a couple of, I say throwaway matches, but I think the Hangman might be going through some throwaway matches here for the next little while.
Depending on who it is.
Yeah, well, when I say throwaway matches, I don't mean like that they're going to be bad or useless. I just mean in the long-term storytelling perspective, kind of like John Cena's entire 2006.
Okay.
It's like they were good matches, but they weren't really. I mean, that was when it was pretty obvious that Cena was going to win every time. Like he goes through everybody.
Right.
Like basically goes through the whole roster and then loses to somebody that he's already beaten for some reason. That was that infamous Bobby Lashley promo before he could cut a promo. He's like, right. Michael, I don't want to fight. I just want to wrestle. It's like, he said, I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk. I just want to wrestle. Thanks, Bobby.
Yep.
It's real great. Anyway, thankfully, he has gotten significantly better.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really make a prediction. I don't know.
I think they're going to let him give a little time off for a couple of weeks and then bring him back.
I just wonder who the next person's going to be because I honestly don't know. And Scorpio Sky's got the TNT title.
So why not Ethan Page?
Well, because he hasn't been doing anything for ever. No, I don't think it's going to be Ethan Page. Frankly, I think his next high-profile feud might honestly be Punk, but I kind of hope not.
Or Jericho.
Maybe Jericho. Eventually, it's going to have to come back to him and Omega. But I don't think that has to happen right away, and I don't think it should happen right away. I don't know, so we didn't make much of a prediction.
But we'll see coming up.
I think it might be Punk, but I hope not. Don't know. Anyway, the match was really good, very hard hitting. Obviously, we had interference from Red Dragon. But there was one moment where, again, this is another really little thing, but I noticed it. How did Hangman not get disqualified? Because he took off his belt and I know it was a reference to what happened on Dynamite, but he took off his belt in the middle of a championship match, took off his belt, tied Adam Cole to the top rope, and yeah, how was he not disqualified?
Again, I'm not going to call wrestling logic on that one because that doesn't.
No, I'm just going to call lack of logic because, I mean, that would have been a DQ.
You're right.
It's no different from him bringing a chair into the ring and swinging it right in Adam Cole's face. Is no different. So yeah, but Adam Page retains, which you probably figured out by now because we were talking about who his next opponent is.
Right.
But I think Adam Cole got a blessing from Shawn Michaels because he was tuning up the band at one point, which got audible boos from the audience, which was pretty funny. I mean, I do get some massive HBK vibes from Adam Cole, so it makes sense.
Right.
And that dude has phenomenal kicks because he actually, and this is hard to do. He successfully timed and aimed a kick to Hangman Page's face in the middle of a moonsault.
Yep.
And didn't miss at all. I mean, bravo. Because even if you time that, like that spoiler alert, they're working on it together, folks. That's still really hard to do.
It is.
Time something like that. And he didn't he was right on target. He wasn't close. I mean, he hit that target like perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Especially the way when he did it to Ricochet.
That's true. He did do it to Ricochet, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
So kudos, because yes, I saw that spot as well, and I thought the same thing, but I had just forgotten about it in a moment of mental weakness. But yeah, Adam Cole may have the best super kick, at least in that way. I mean, because I don't think he misses, like, ever.
Nope. So
he's got a precision kick.
Yep.
So anyway, that was AEW Revolution. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend, which brings me, I'm not saying we're going to do this next time, but if there's a lull in the happenings, the surprising happenings of professional wrestling, I would like us to do an in-depth review of All In sometime.
Okay.
Just for funsies.
Okay. Which All In?
All In.
Oh, the one.
The only one.
The one that Cody.
Yeah, not all out. Not all out. All In.
Okay.
Would you like to see that? Our loving audience, would you like us to do a review of All In? Because I still maintain it may be the best wrestling pay-per-view ever made. From start to finish.
We will figure it out when we do this.
We will figure it out, won't we? Oh, we will. We will.
The next episode will be our WrestleMania
predictions. Which I'm looking forward to that one because we did pretty good last year's WrestleMania predicting what was going to happen.
Yep.
Well, WWE's predictable as shit, but we were about 50% right with the Royal Rumble. Yeah. We were correct on the big ones though.
Well, that's true.
Like, because we knew Becky was going to retain. Like, and we called the Brock Lesnar shit. I just wish he would have done it exactly the way I said, but you know. And then before we switch gears and talk about Cody Rhodes, I know that I didn't care, but I know you had mentioned it. Old Swerve made his AEW debut.
Well, the only thing I was going to say about Cody is the heck happened.
Did you lose power?
There we go.
Aha.
The only thing I was going to say about Cody leading into this, is they're supposed to be in Jacksonville on Monday night. And there's little talks. Seth Rollins is going to throw out an open challenge for WrestleMania. Because he is having nobody.
And this is going to be on Raw?
Yes.
I might have to watch.
And Seth has nothing for Mania. And who better than...
And they've gone back and forth on Twitter for a couple of years.
Well, who better than Cody and Seth?
I'm just saying. I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. What WWE needs to do, if Cody is in fact going to be there, is they had two options on this. Actually, they have one option. They need to start with the Stardust theme, but then just cut it to black, and then you get the wrestling has more than one royal family. And if they can use Kingdom by Downstate, they need to.
Well, we'll see Monday.
We'll see Monday. I'm looking forward to it. I'm telling you, these kinds of things, because I've since changed my opinion. I would love for Cody to show up in Ring of Honor. I would, but I think the wrestling business needs him to go back to WWE, and here's why. Because we've seen a ton of WWE people come to AEW, but we haven't really seen a high-profile AEW person go to WWE.
Right, and I'm not disagreeing with that. I had read that they were talking about sending Cody over to Ring of Honor to handle business over there,
which would be phenomenal as well.
Right. But if they do this with Cody and Seth and Mania, more power to them.
And I would think if Cody is going back to WWE, I almost think they would have had to have guaranteed this to him.
Right.
Because, I mean, Cody obviously has a sour taste in his mouth when it comes to WWE. And you've got to think that this contract probably has, if he does have one, it probably has so many outs. Like, hey, if you don't give me, like, that list of demands had to be pretty long.
Yeah.
And when you consider what he was getting paid in AEW, it has to be quite lucrative. So I can't imagine WWE would squander it.
I agree.
So I think we might see, if WWE can get some of those people and let them do what they do, they won't be in trouble anymore. Which it seems like they're setting up for Kevin Owens and Steve Austin at WrestleMania. They're setting up for it. And that's one of those things where Kevin Owens knows what the fuck he's doing. So just let him do it. Steve Austin certainly knows what the fuck he's doing. So just let him do it. Goddamn, kid. The former Ring of Honor champion, Kevin Killstein Kill. Goddamn. You know, just let him do it.
Right.
I mean, hell, you know, if Steve Austin were no longer with us, which thankfully he is, but I mean, I would say Kevin Steen is the closest thing to a reincarnation of the modern day version of Steve Austin.
He is.
So, I mean, it's perfect. All right over there, buddy? You look tired.
I'm fine. I just had a long weekend.
Yeah, I had a long week. I know how you feel. Well, and we've been at this for almost an hour and a half. So unless you got something else, I say we can wrap it up.
I think we can wrap it up.
Well, let's wrap it up then. Thank you, everybody, for enjoying this episode of The Average Intelligence. This is the wrong podcast. Goddamn. The Down the Middle podcast. What?
Really?
What?
Really?
What?
Really?
What?
Really?
Anyway, if you enjoyed this episode, you can check out this and all of our other episodes, our back catalog, if you will, on the YouTube channel. And if you prefer to listen to us rather than look at our ugly mugs, you can check us out on various audio streaming platforms, including but not limited to Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio Now, Amazon Music, which includes Audible. Yeah, it includes Audible. What? That's what I say. That's what I say when I'm listening to my audiobooks. They say something in the book, and I say, what? And then it increases volume, and I say, well, goddamn, kid, why didn't you say so the first time? And if you'd like to support the channel, you can always check out our official merchandise store, which is linked below, where you can buy our, among other things, you can buy our It's All a Work t-shirt, which, I mean, I gotta say, is a really cool looking t-shirt.
It is.
And if I ever saw one on wrestling television, I'd be tickled pink. So you should definitely buy one, wear it to a live wrestling event, especially if you're ringside. Let us see it, and then we'll give you a hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
No, I said we will give them a hell yeah. They haven't earned it yet. No, they haven't earned it yet.
Oh, okay. Okay, I get you.
Anyway, also be sure to check out XCW Wrestling, where my co-host here wrestles.
We just started back up yesterday, which would be, what's the date? 10th. Today's 13th. So yes, starting March. God dang, too many M's. March 12th, we had our first show back for the season, which was XCW Glory. So keep an eye out on the social media on that, on the Twitter, the Facebook, the Instagram, and everything. And
you had a recent accolade. You were number one on a certain list.
Yes, I was. Certain list on check that on the YouTube, XC Wrestling 1 on for XCW 5. Or I'm not gonna really give it away, but that's for you to go check it out.
He's number one in a certain category.
Number one in a certain category of having the drip, if you will. So that's what it's called.
Anyway.
So go ahead and check all that out. Like I said, we just started back up for the season. So you will be especially thrilled with everything to come.
Yes, and be sure to check out Squared Circle Expo, and we hope you are going to go there and keep this convention going every single year.
Yes. Because,
goddamn it, we need it. Who doesn't want a wrestling convention in Indy?
You're right.
People who aren't from Indy won't give a shit, but we want it, goddamn it. So check it out. And if you're from the surrounding areas, it'll be worth it. It looks stacked, legitimately. But anyway, this has been the Down the Middle podcast. We've called it Down the Middle, and we will see you all next time.